All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Kakushigoto, episode
6.
Last
All right.
episode was super adorable, but, also had a bunch of ominous foreshadowing for,
Yes.
that reminder that we're on a timetable.
Yep. It was all by in the first half, pretty sweet though. Just in general, though.
Yep.
But, yeah.
Kakushi learned some lessons from Hime about duty and how important that is.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
then
just stuff you gotta do.
that's right.
Everyone takes their turn. Sometimes even with you, Kakushi.
Yep.
Because the editors, they don't like you.
They don't like you
at all. No,
But
no.
we got to have a fun adventure in the can,
Yeah.
For a second, Kakushi thought that Hime might know what that is, but no, secret safe.
No, the secret is perfectly safe. And then also just judging newcomers, into the manga, industry, trying to put out their stuff there. It's like, okay, well, this is kind of cool. And then realizing, oh, wait, this is something.
Hold
that
on,
kind
I'm
of has
turning
a nice
into one of
little
those people.
Parallel, yes, but also to, kind of helping my daughter and stuff with, things. If she puts herself out there with something like that, I'm going to be potentially holding her back from that by my attitude and stuff. So, yeah. Y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. If a woman brings home the man she wants to marry and he reacts to anime on YouTube, would you allow it?
Yeah, so this episode hit me like a ton of bricks because
oh man,
I'm not entirely sure where to start, but yeah, since you brought up the whole anime reactions thing and whatnot, sure, let's go with that.
Let's go with imposter syndrome in general.
Yeah, imposter syndrome because here he's in a situation right where and the idea of being a manga artist, right? That's something that that's a very it's a very rose-colored kind of job, from the outside, right?
In the same way that I would say being a YouTuber probably
exactly,
is.
Where people are like, oh my god, it's amazing,
I want to be a YouTuber so
yeah,
bad.
that would be perfect. Everything would be sunshine and roses and awesome, and but then there's also the side of people where they're like, so when are you gonna get a real job,
Yeah.
And now granted, thankfully, we don't have too many people like the father-in-law in our lives, right? But in the same way that when the father-in-law said that, Kakushi's like, of course not, because these are things that he also thinks about himself, right?
Yep, exactly.
This is why he doesn't want Hime to find out. It's not because it's dirty drawings. I mean, that's part of it, but it's it's the
he thinks less of himself because of it, and thus he doesn't want his daughter to think less of him either.
Even though that is
hilarious
his passion,
because that's the kind of thing that no matter what he's doing, she would be excited about it. Now, there is another aspect of it where he's thinking about, well, her life would change quite a bit if she found out her dad was a celebrity and told all her friends.
Yeah.
And they started treating her differently. And that's a real thing that happens. It's a totally real thing that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And the teacher brought it up of workplace or career discrimination or something like that, at the school, right?
Common. Very common. In
totally
fact,
makes
treated
sense.
it as a pecking order.
Yep. And so I very much respect the teacher and the school system of being like, no, that's not something that we talk about. That's private stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But given that it's like that,
but still,
theoretically, she could know, and he could just be like, yeah, but just don't talk about that at school.
Yeah, but that's not realistic either.
Yeah, she probably would. But
she would totally do that. Now, the imposter syndrome doesn't just extend to him being a mangaka, though. It extends to him being a dad as well.
Yep.
The idea that, well, I had a wife, she's not here anymore. We don't know the details exactly surrounding that, but there are a couple things that are pretty well assumed. And, he feels inadequate with regards to how he, parents her.
Right. And you can kind of see that with it's the negative side of the positive when he says, no. It is a gift, a privilege to be able to raise her, right?
Yep, exactly.
That is awesome. That is an excellent way of looking at it.
Buddy.
That's also where the flip side negative of it comes from. Of it's more than I deserve, right? And that can make him be a great parent with regards to making sure that he doesn't get snappy with her.
Absolutely.
But it can also
being very patient,
seriously get in his way because then he doesn't actually genuinely connect with her. To the point that when she sees him in his natural element, being himself, she literally doesn't recognize him. Dude.
Oh, stop the presses. Literally the presses. And go connect with her in this manner. Please, buddy.
Like this show likes to do those surprise things where it's like, all right, it brings out the emotional side of things, right? And it's great. And I love anime for being able to handle that dynamic of switching between the comedy and the serious on a dime, and it fits, right?
Right. Yep.
But that was
scary.
That was breaking some kind of Geneva conventions there of like
emotional war crimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's a couple things that I think are kind of inferred here that might not be apparent on like first inspection.
Okay.
So when you don't recognize your father because he's wearing a cosplay of a mangaka,
right?
That's funny. That doesn't have any emotional context to it necessarily, outside of the immediate just facts of what happened here.
Yep.
But when you think about the idea that he's leading a double life, this happening reinforces some aspect of his belief that he should keep doing this. Because if he did reveal that this was him, she wouldn't recognize him.
Yeah.
Now, he's going to twist that even more in a bit of a scary way.
Because he's super neurotic,
Right. But then there's the other side of it that's, I would say, in some ways even more insidious here, is that if she walks up, doesn't recognize him in this manner, is she then capable of perceiving it for what it is, given enough time? Is it now relegated to being a permanent secret until she's old enough? At that time when that invisible far-off future where then she will get
suddenly it all clicks and...
Yeah. But that will not come. Because we know the future in that he's not around when she's 17 or whatever.
18, I think, It was on her 18th birthday.
Whatever. Older. He's gone. So the context also is that whatever the point was, if he uses this as the framework for his decision-making process, he never told her.
Yep. And
he never told her.
And she won't even remember moments like this because it was
kind of a nothing moment.
It was a nothing moment. It's this is some other person, right? It's not like because you remember what things mean to you, not what they actually are. So if she gets additional context that he was a manga artist this whole time, she's not going to think back to that one adult who was pretending to be a manga artist when, at the whatever place.
Yep.
No, she's not going to remember that.
No.
So that whole struggle, that whole story that you went on, she is never going to be a part of that with you. Not even in hindsight. Not even looking into the past, which is still such a limited view, right?
Yeah. I really feel like this episode brings you, at least brought us pretty close to depression in terms of some of the aspects of that, because the imposter syndrome thing is one thing, and I think you have a pretty good handle on that, I would say now, comparatively to 3 or 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, but
it's still there. It's still there.
It's more like just a white noise in the background.
Right. For me, for instance, where it comes out is when someone compliments what I'm doing with this. An example of this was rather recently. I was hanging out with some old childhood friends during the 4th of July. And they're not really big anime people necessarily.
Nope.
But a couple of them were saying, oh, no, we watched some stuff, and actually, I really, really appreciate the level of effort you guys go to into your reactions, but specifically also the discussions afterwards. I really like just having them on in the background while I'm doing work. And I was just like, oh, thank you. That's really sweet and stuff. But then they were also like, but no, you're putting in a lot of effort that's noticeable, and I really want to just applaud that.
Right.
And I didn't want to receive the compliment.
Nope, me neither. Yeah, no, because it's because it's this weird thing where talking about anime and stuff, doing the kind of things that we do on camera, like for you guys and whatnot, it's something that we would also do just in our own time, right? And that's why the transition to doing it on camera worked,
pretty well,
fairly well, all things considered, but as a result of that, it's something that a lot of the time I have trouble actually valuing, right? I have trouble feeling fulfilled doing it because I don't see it as being any big deal, right? It's just
there's intention behind it,
right?
That's the main thing, is that you make sure that the structure of it happens.
Yeah, it's regular. It's kept regular.
It's regulated.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But it's nothing fundamentally different, and so there, I'll sometimes have little crises of like,
same.
What am I doing with my life, right? Yep. Because if I were to without the channel spend all my time watching anime and talking to Caleb about it, right? Those would be great moments for connection with Caleb, but I would feel like I wasn't really doing much with my life.
Right. You would remember them with fondness in kind of a vague, like, oh yeah, that feels good when I do that.
Right. But it would also have this element of kind of like not guilt, but almost like mild disappointment of like, oh,
it's not highly valued time
right, exactly.
Spending. It's kind of like a little entertainment.
It's a really fun hobby,
Yeah.
And when something, because it's so easy to have the things that you elevate in your mind be the things that really like deeply impacted you, right?
Sure.
And I've watched some reaction channels for certain shows and things like that, but I don't do it very often, and it wasn't something that like had some huge impact on me, right? But then when I think about the things, even if they're fairly similar to the stuff that we do, where it did impact me a lot, right? There will still be that catch in my head where I don't let myself actually celebrate the stuff that I do, right? And the idea that the fact that Hime didn't recognize him, yes, it's so something of his own making, right? That he perpetuated this, and he will see this as confirmation, right? And then it ends up becoming self-fulfilling.
Yep.
But then we have stuff like the dad and the son going and appreciating, his dirty manga together.
Yeah.
And it's like that's. God.
Yeah, it's really just
People take themselves way too seriously.
Yep, people take themselves far too seriously. There's way too much pretense put into the perceptions of others.
Yep.
And just kind of just throw it all off. Let it go.
I'm one of the people who, I have almost for a large portion of my life thought about myself that I didn't actually get bothered by that kind of stuff. It's the line from Jaime Lannister at the end of season 1 of Game of Thrones, where it's I don't care what people think of me, and Tywin's like, as long as that's what they think of you, and it's and it's we can trick ourselves and that's why something like this show I think is good to watch, because comedy and all that stuff aside, Kakushi's neuroticism is something that is definitely played up for comedy, and it's extreme enough that we can look at it and laugh at it and be like, haha, he's so silly, or damn it, why don't you spend more time with your daughter? Why don't you connect with her more, right? Why don't you be real with her? And yet, there are elements of Kakushi's self-deception that we totally do with ourselves. And we don't realize we're doing it because life isn't so convenient as to have all of these conflicts that basically throw it back in our face.
So you have to look at it.
Yeah.
You can actually do quite a lot of life just trying to ignore it. And you...
And it looks like Kakushi, depending on how things go, might have spent...
He succeeds.
He might succeed in basically having that continue. Now, the bit with the manga that he leaves for Hime, I think that's a step in the right direction, right? Because it's communicating to her that this is the kind of person that he was, even if he couldn't do it in the moment. And it's also communicating what he most valued and wanted for her in the drawing of the... Because originally when it was like, oh, there weren't any swords or magic, I was like, oh, is he still censoring himself in this, where he's not letting himself draw what he really wants to draw because, he doesn't want her to think less of him? And then it's like, no.
No, he wrote a whole new manga.
Yep.
Specifically slice of life style of their lives being inspirations,
Right.
but it's the happy life that he wished he maybe could have had, or
could have given her
the life that they did have
right before it was taken away,
when it was the three of them.
Yeah.
And she doesn't really remember that because she was a little like baby kid at the time.
Did a lot of work to make sure that she wouldn't have to think about it or remember it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the whole thing there. But the introduction of who is most definitely, I would say, the father-in-law.
Also the artist, it seems.
Yeah, also potentially, I can go back and look at the actual image of the painting, because it's the one scene here that has a slight, I don't know, let me see here. Kairi Imashigata. Okay.
Yeah.
Look rather closely at it. The one thing that maybe makes me think that it doesn't necessarily have to be that is that I'm pretty sure Kairi sounds like a woman's name.
Possibly.
But then it goes, I think it's taking place in Ueno. You've heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the masters of Japanese paintings. But the woman in the painting might have been inspired by his wife.
Yeah, well,
who
which
would have been his
which
daughter.
makes total sense, because that's exactly what Kakushi would do.
Right.
Right? Like,
yeah.
or what Kakushi would do, right? It's the whole thing of, oh yeah, my daughter's everything to me, so yeah, if I could, somehow portray her in my work, then, I mean, maybe not his work in particular, because he does, dirty manga and stuff, but like, yeah, do drawings or paintings of your daughter? Absolutely.
Yeah, and then I actually have one of his pieces at home, want to see it.
And
how much you want to bet?
And he has this sly look that he gives him, like.
Right.
Yeah.
How much you want to bet, though, that that's something that was specifically given to his wife and then the artist's daughter.
Yeah.
As like a gift,
Right. Yeah, because you have something that's a work of your dad's. And it makes so much sense then why she might be like, oh, yeah, you do art. That's so cool.
Right.
Like, because, I always thought it was the coolest that my dad was an artist, And what do you do? Oh, you do manga. Oh, that's awesome.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, these are so fun and quirky, like, yeah.
I loved how the episode did seem to be a combination of not just imposter syndrome, but also the idea of, everyone shares their passion with the person that they love the most. So you saw the kid and the father, which is so sweet.
It was awesome.
I also really think that this is
parental goals right there.
Well, right, but I think this was also a subtle jab at maybe some aspect of parental censoring of like what's considered dirty for kids,
Oh, sure.
Where it's like, no, just bring your relationship with your kid into it.
Like it's the same
Even
kind of a
it's
thing.
Like it could have been the kid that was interested in the manga first.
Yeah, and then the dad's like, yeah. I want to get into that with you.
Yeah, instead of being like, no, son, that's dirty. You're not supposed to look at that.
Yeah.
He'd be like, oh, that's cool. Let's go through it together.
It gives me the same vibe as like the parent who's like, okay, I want to make sure that my kid trusts me with stuff and things like that. So they're like, okay, you're 13. Let's go on the back porch and I'll crack open your first beer together, and we can just talk about the whole thing of like, try not to be an idiot, but this is sort of what it's like,
Right, you're probably going to go off and rebel and do little things and stuff like that,
and go for it, and just know I'm always there for you. And
I'm always there for you, exactly. That's the kind of stuff that makes me want to cry thinking back on my childhood, because I had many moments where my parents were very. Our parents, but yeah, our parents were very, very gracious with regards to the idea that they were like, so puberty's coming, so you're gonna go hog wild.
Yeah, this will be interesting.
So good luck.
Right.
We're here for you if you need to basically crash and burn for a little bit, or if you just need to crash, whatever that means. And that was a really big deal for me, because there were moments where it was like, oh, things are actually going great. And I'm not going to tell you everything that I'm doing.
Sure.
But I appreciate knowing that you guys would be there. And then there'd be times where I did kind of crash a little bit. And it was just like, oh, cool, I can come back here and, and not have to fret about that kind of stuff. So it's like, oh, that's really cool.
And I remember with stuff like that, because our parents were super awesome with that, with like, just telling us, hey, make plenty of mistakes, we're there for you.
Right.
I didn't appreciate that as much back then. It was
now.
like, oh, okay, cool, that's good to hear, But like, then especially when I would see the examples of parents that didn't do that, right, and that was very much a thing, it would terrify me. But then it's also, as just life goes on and things like that, it's like, yeah, that's the way to go. And Kakushi, you're shooting yourself in the foot, like you're a great dad, but your daughter didn't recognize you, so you're doing something very, very wrong.
Does she really know you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No.
And you can romanticize the idea of she'll find out eventually. I'm putting this all there for her.
Yep.
But really, that's a cop out, right?
That is a cop out of the highest order.
And if it's an A1 Pictures romantic dramedy about someone that dies and they're 14, that's a bit more understandable than when you're a grown ass man and you're an adult and you're raising this kid and they don't actually know you.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a whole lot of hurt that will come with that of, oh, why didn't he trust me? Why didn't he ever share this with me?
Never know.
I understand maybe not when I was like 6 or something, but when I was 15, really?
When I was 13?
Yeah. Why?
Why not?
And why did I not actually find out from him directly? Mm-hmm. Why did I find out because, all of a sudden it's my 18th birthday and the thing is that the reason why she never found out from him directly could be because he dies tragically when she's 14.
Yeah, of
right?
course. That's the kind of thing that I'm almost expecting.
Yep. Where
we had stuff at the painting thing. We had stuff at the beach. We had stuff when they're on the road.
Yep.
I could totally see all kinds of accidents happening.
Oh, yeah.
Takes him away from her.
And then it's one of those things where you procrastinate, you put it off. You're like, I could do that tomorrow, but then tomorrow doesn't come, and then all of a sudden now the choice is actually taken from you. You cannot. And she's going to have to live with that.
Yeah.
She will.
Oh, my God.
So
here we are. We see him kind of having a little bit of a realization here.
Yeah.
I could see him adjusting things a little bit. Maybe.
The teacher coming in clutch and covering for him. Both with the biggest fan that's there at the beginning and he doesn't believe it. That was so sweet.
That means she was there the earliest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know what it's like being first in line for like someone that you're a big fan of, and it's a good feeling.
It's a great feeling.
Don't belittle that by being like, oh yeah, well clearly you were paid to be here, or you weren't even paid to be here. This is just a pity thing.
A pity thing, yeah. I think that moment when they had all the gifts and stuff there, he was like, would they go to this much trouble? We would have to design the gifts individually.
You realize how insane that is, right?
Yeah.
You're not worth that much.
Right. We don't have that kind of money.
Right. Yeah.
But that was the moment where I was like, I've had so many letters given to us over the years now where I was like reading some aspect of it and I'm like, oh yeah, that letter that had that little line there, on
there's
the third page or what have you.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's a story, but I remember it. Oh. I remember the feeling from that still to this day. And it's
and there's always that little voice that says all the things that are, when you think about it, totally ridiculous, right? But it's ways that you try and guard yourself so that you don't actually let yourself get invested, so that way you can't get hurt. Because if you accept the good stuff that strangers on the internet say about you, then suddenly the bad stuff you feel like you gotta take that in too.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So, all right, this next episode, I would love to see a little bit more from this manga that he leaves behind for her. I also would very much like to see the development of where things are going with this. Definitely her
father-in-law that's the artist.
Yeah, definitely the father-in-law kind of situation here.
Yeah.
Also, I believe it's actually All For One's voice. I don't know if it's Thorkel's voice necessarily. Those might be the same people. But I know for a fact now that's All For One.
I think they're the same.
It might be the same, yeah. But I don't remember. I just remember when the voice came up, I was like, oh, that voice. I know that voice. That is the dad kind of voice.
The way it changed in my mind is that Thorkel is the same as Uvogin, and Uvogin is the same as Iskandar, who I believe is also the same as
All for One.
Yeah.
That does sound right.
Like
and then I believe Goheen from Beastars is also in that mix as well.
Yes, Goheen from Beastars for sure. Yeah.
Excellent
voice. I mean,
he's just a legendary
the voice is so
actor.
awesome. Like,
but it's just like, it's Evil Dad. Oh, they picked the perfect voice for him.
Imagine having someone with that kind of awesome voice being like, "You're worthless,"
or you should question maybe your worth.
Mm-hmm. Because do you really think you're worth something?
Yeah, there's some stuff there, and also his question of that makes extra, painful sense to it when he then realized that possibly their marriage that they had might not have even been a marriage. Maybe they ran off together and she kind of spited her dad.
Well, sure.
Like, no, I'll get with him and have a kid.
Sure. There's the did she do it just to get back at me for rebellion or something or whatever?
No. I'm meaning that she did that in spite of the dad saying, no, I will not let you marry him.
Right. And then Kakashi, if he actually starts to believe the things that the dad says, then he might think, oh, did I also make my wife waste her life that was also cut short?
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Because it's just...
That's thought viruses, man. They get inside you. And
stop giving people that say that kind of shit rent-free space in your head.
Yep. Kill it with fire.
Yeah. But all right, guys, y'all. Thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if ain't that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.